Thanks for tuning in to another edition of StuVision. We're back from commercial break, and I'd like to introduce to you a longtime friend of mine, Mr. Bob Soler.
Hi.
How you
Stu,
doing, Bob?
how you doing?
Good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right, have a seat.
Thank you.
Thanks for accepting the invitation to come on to StuVision.
Well, always a pleasure to talk about the Croswell.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, how did you get started with the Croswell? I mean, that's kind of a neat story.
Well, it certainly is, and it's been quite some time now. Let's see, about 34 years ago.
Really?
Yes, I was I was interviewing for a position at Santa Heights College in those days, now it's a university, and I came to Adrian to interview, and I was told that there was a production going on at the local opera house, and I thought, oh, interesting, and they said, you've got to go. So I went, and it was a production of 1776.
Good musical.
It was an excellent musical and an excellent production. So I came and I watched the show, and I was impressed, almost to the point where I thought if I came to Adrian, I probably would never get to work at this building at all. It's just, you know, it's too good for me. I'm not there. So I did accept the position at Santa Heights, and the next summer I was asked to design all of the scenery for all of the summer shows, and also to direct one of them that I was designing. And that was also the famous summer where we did 4 more shows interspersed at Santa Heights College.
Wow.
So it was a summer of 7 shows, and we started out with the 7-Year Itch, which I directed, and then we did Little Mary Sunshine at the Opera House, which I designed, and then they did Tom Sawyer back at Siena, and then we did Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which I directed and designed, and then we did Plaza Suite at Siena, which I directed, and then we did Fiddler on the Roof, which I designed, and then we did Bus Stop as the 7th show in about 10 or 11 weeks. We've never done it before, and they've never done it since, and it was quite a summer, as you can imagine. But that was my first taste of the Croswell Opera House.
Wow. Now, what year was that?
I arrived in the fall of '73, and that was the summer of '74.
74. Okay. Now, I remember meeting you when I was in middle school.
That's right.
and everybody called you Doc Soler.
Well, I've been called a lot of
Yeah.
things. I guess that's one of them.
And I do remember one thing that you told me is that I was destined to be in show business. I remember
I may have said that.
Yeah,
I may have said that.
And I've never been out of show business since.
Well, of course, the number of people that I've seen go through this the school system and the opera house, and times that they performed here, either as a middle school student or as a high school student, or our summer and winter theater programs at the Croswell. A lot of people, enormous number of. I mean, I've been involved in probably well over 250 productions locally.
Wow.
Most of which of course, have been here at the Opera House. And that's an awful lot of shows and an awful lot of people that I've been involved with.
Now, the Croswell is basically your house. That's what a lot of people, I mean, I hear that a lot. I mean, you had a lot to do with the restoration.
Well,
you know,
I've been here long enough to see most of what has happened to the upkeep and the things that have been developed here in the building, either whether it's programming or with the historic facility itself. But I've seen a lot of things happening
now,
here.
Wasn't Bette Midler one of your students?
Well, yes. I'm trying to recall that I really had her in class. She was a student out at the University of Hawaii, where I was on the faculty. And however, I was my real claim is that I was in a show with her.
Really?
But yes, and I can say we did Of Thee I Sing, George Gershwin's big political show. She was in it, very, very funny, and there was one scene in which I actually sang 8 bars of music, singing directly to Bette Midler.
Excellent.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we got more stories from Bob Soler right after this message. And we're back. There are some ghosts in this room affecting the microphone that works every place else but here. So if we may end up going to the boom mic here every once in a while. But now, Bob, you got some great stories. We were talking about haunted apparitions in the Croswell. Have you seen or heard, or do you want to keep the mystery alive?
No, there are a number of people who absolutely insist they've seen people. They think they've actually seen Governor Croswell, who of course is the man for whom the building is named. And there are some stairs up in their lobby there, and they say that an evening during a late rehearsal or something, they've seen somebody standing at the top of the stairs with beady red eyes and that kind of thing. And some have said that they can, standing on the stage late at night when it's all dark, that they can see something lurking up at the top of the balcony in the theater. So
really?
There have been, people have played all kinds of games. We had a cutout of a statue one time.
Oh, okay.
That was, I found it hanging on the stage one night. And it also pops out at the top of the balcony on the stairs or behind a corner somewhere. So who knows?
Yeah,
But,
it's just...
everybody loves to believe that the building is so old and so
yeah.
Filled with memories, and there must be ghosts here somewhere.
And like you said, what would a theater be without drama?
Exactly, exactly.
Now, the theater has posters way up in the top above the pin rail. Yep. That's really interesting.
There are some, yes. In the late 19th century, when the traveling theaters used to come, they would take extra posters and slap them on the wall up there, like they'd paste on signboards around town.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they put some samples of them up there, and there's a few of them up there yet. It's very, very hard to preserve them, and people get up there and they look at them and they pick at them and whatever, and it's very hard to.
Right.
But there are still some.
Now, how many productions have you been in and involved with? Because I know you also perform here at the Croswell too.
Well, I do several things. I can direct a show, I can design a show, I can act in a show, and I have occasionally done all three in the same show.
And build.
And,
when you say
and
build
and
includes...
do the lighting too. And occasionally I'll step in front of the orchestra and conduct. So it's not like there isn't any part of it. The only thing, there are two things I stay away from. One is choreography.
Right.
Although
you probably could.
I did most of the choreography for the my last show here, which was She Loves Me, last February. And I also let others do costuming. That always looked like a chore to me. But and we've had and still have some very wonderful costume people.
Now, you come from a different type of schooling where you had to learn every aspect of the technical theater through directing, and now they're kind of compartmentalizing the way theater's taught now? Now
there are those that, we're only interested in directing, only interested in acting, only interested in design, only interested in tech work. And in my day and age, used to do it all. I grew up doing it all. My first jobs were doing it all. When I did a master's thesis for my MFA, I did a production, Death of a Salesman, did the whole thing from top to bottom.
Wow.
And they almost don't allow that anymore. They want you compartmentalized. They want you to be absolutely just top-notch in one section of it. So there are a lot of people, there are a lot of directors who don't understand design. They can't read a floor plan. And that's a shame. And there are directors who don't act and actors who should try directing and see what it's like on the other side of the system.
Well, I like the technical side.
Yeah,
I like the technical side. And today's technical is completely different than
today's
advanced.
technical is almost getting out of hand.
Yeah.
The theater is chasing the motion picture industry, trying to get as high-tech as they possibly can for just almost any show. See anything, take a production like Wicked.
Yeah.
It has so much tech in it. There isn't a moving piece of scenery, of which there are dozens and dozens, that isn't electrified, dashing lights and all over. I mean, it's just incredible what they can
Wow.
do now.
Right, Bob, can I have you talk with us for another
Oh,
5
yeah,
minutes?
sure.
Okay, all right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thanks for sticking around. And you caught us, changing batteries. Well, Bob, more stories.
Always.
More stories. Now, the Croswell has gone through many renovations, different, many personnel there. When I started remembering about the Croswell, Gracie
Colito, yeah.
yep,
Gracie.
she had a lot to do with getting it started.
Well, she did, not getting it started. She came on a little later than that. It goes way back to...
Well, the Hickmans have
the
something to
Hickman
do.
were very much involved. They took one look at the building as it was scheduled for demolition. It was a movie house, first-rate movie house. In fact, the last big movie ever shown at the Croswell was Sound of Music.
I saw that.
First run.
Yeah.
Here, and 1968 or something like that. And then the movie ownership decided they didn't want the building anymore. It was too big. They wanted places like Studio South and others with smaller theaters.
Isn't the projector still stuck
Oh, yeah,
up there?
Up there. But they were going to tear this building down.
Oh, okay.
And somebody looked at the stage of this building and discovered that it was far bigger than was necessary for just a movie house, that it really was a theater, not a movie house. And although it had been a movie house since 1920, for all those years, that before that it was really a first-rate theater. And so they saved it, and they managed to buy this entire building and everything in it, including the projectors and the whole thing, for $10,000.
Really?
The whole thing, the property alone,
Wow.
in downtown Adrian, for $10,000. I mean, you've got a
Parking lot and all?
all of this. So it was quite a thing to save. And so they, little by little, they started putting it together, and some folks from Siena started to help work out the summer theater program. And there were 6 years of summer theater work going on before I got here, and I was joined in its 7th season.
So you must have been really tickled pink by the Croswell, coming all the way from, Hawaii.
Well,
geez.
Well, I had gone from Hawaii. I mean, I've been a lot of places, but I had been in Hawaii. Then I was in Los Angeles, and then I was in New York for a while teaching, and then I came to Adrian.
Yeah.
And came here by way of Wyoming, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I was when I got my interview with Siena Heights College. I had been directing and designing and teaching during the summer at the University of Wyoming. But I had worked there before, and I'd done many summers of summer theater there. It's interesting because I've had, 33, 34 years of showbiz work here in Adrian.
Right.
Well, that's just sort of half of what my life has been, because I did a lot elsewhere. I did a lot of teaching at University of Wyoming, University of Hawaii, college on Staten Island. And I've traveled and done all kinds of things while I'm doing this.
Wow.
And I continue to travel.
Yeah, you do. Non-theater related, right?
Oh, not. But I see as much as I can while I'm gone.
Well, you were in Vietnam recently?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm going back on another trip this fall. I'm going to be going about 8 weeks. I'm going to see 8 countries. So,
wow.
And Vietnam is one of them, because I've got some friends there, and I'll stay there a while. And I'll stay in the Philippines, where I used to teach. And I'm going to stop in Shanghai. I have an invite there from some people that used to work here. I don't know. Do you remember Mishka Reek?
No.
From a long time ago. She was another one. In fact, we're doing Life with Father coming up next spring, and I'm directing it. And the last time we did it, in 1981, I think it was, she played the mother in the show. She was wonderful. Well, she and her husband are now living in Shanghai. He's doing work for some corporation there, and they've asked me to drop in. So I'm going to drop in and spend a week or so with them. And then I'm going to see also Bali and Kuala Lumpur and Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia.
Wow.
Besides,
Are you going to ride the horses in Mongolia?
Oh, absolutely.
That's cool. That's cool. Well.
Also the two-humped camel.
Yeah.
I've done the single hump in Egypt, but I want to do the double hump in Mongolia.
Excellent. Well,
So, but that's all part of it, and I'm enjoying traveling as well as continuing to work at the Croswell.
well, excellent.
Retired though I may be.
Yes, retired though you may be. Well, thank you very much, Bob.
Always.
It was a great honor, and I'd like for you to come back.
Anytime.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back.
Very fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's even more stories I'm sure that we haven't even begun to tap into.
I started to talk to Kiersey.
Yeah.
Now, Kiersey and I go way back.
Oh, Steve Kiersey,
Because
yeah.
Kiersey goes back before me.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, sure, he was involved in the theater here, playing in the orchestra. He played trombone in the orchestra.
wow.
And,